Okay. So as I said, I probably don't have much to say here on my own. Um, so I'll probably keep this pretty short. I'll stay on here about 10 minutes if no one shows, which I'm assuming looks like no one will. Um, then I'll go and take this down later. But I did want to mention I'm going to try to get a few people to interview for my channel, and it's people who do have a YouTube channel, but I don't think anybody's heard from them, been interviewed as far as I know. And they still would be people that are interesting to interview, in my opinion. So anyway, that's something I'll try to look forward to doing. I'll just be doing other things here in case someone actually shows up. Let's see. Looks like there might be someone else here, but that could be me twice. Anyway, I'll just be here working on stuff like I said earlier in case somebody has a question or not. I'll just stay on here for about 10 minutes and then we'll close it down. If there is anybody here, I'm just mentioned earlier that I'm going to keep this open for about 10 minutes. And I already mentioned that I intend to try to do some interviews of people in the future, people that have not been interviewed in the past, as far as my knowledge. So you can hopefully look forward to that. Again, I'm not positive I'm going to do that. Of course, people have to agree to it. And there are people who have YouTube channels, but and it seems like they'd be pretty interesting to me to interview. But anyway, I'll just keep this open for a few more minutes here, and then we'll probably delete it because I'm mainly trying to figure out how this is done for the most part. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Looks like there's maybe one or two people. Let's see. Trying to see something here. Oops. Okay, so at least that does show up there. Okay. I don't know how to set it from here. Anyway. Let me see. Maybe just keep this open in a little thing up here in the corner in case I don't make sure I don't miss any chat, which probably won't be a problem anyway. Let me see when I click on this, what happens. Quite a delay. Well, I'm gonna close that down because I mess up the bandwidth. Well, I guess there were four people. That fourth person was myself, I guess. Well, it's been 10 minutes. If nobody has any general questions in general, whether it's about, I don't know, things I might do in 2019 or Rio or whatever. But anyway, I'll just leave this open for another minute or so. It seems like people always have questions about Rio. At least in emails and things, comments on videos. Well, it's pretty slow when I'm running the video, apparently. Hmm. expand this a little bit. Oh, here we go. Here's someone who has a comment or question, maybe. Looks like they're in Clearfield, Utah. They have a lot of questions. Bothering with basics. Where are the Sasquatch in winter? Huh. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I think everybody has the same question. Where is Sasquatch in winter? All I can do is, give my opinion and throw out things I've heard. Some of it has to do with Utah Sasquatch, meaning Rio's old channel. But I remember several times Rio would, I believe he went with Mark. I won't say his last name. We'll say Mark W. And they followed the rivers that go down into the valley from the mountains down to the valley. And they found a lot of activity down actually along the rivers in areas that didn't have, as many humans. And they were kind of places people don't go as much, lots of brush and different things. And this is up in Ogden. So I don't know if, how it is everywhere. We also, Rio, and Mark again, we went down the Provo, almost to Utah Lake, and we did find quite a few structures in a certain area that was more difficult to access. I don't know if they're there in winter or what, but and so there's speculation. I think what's his name, Todd Standing, thinks at least up in Canada they don't, it's cold everywhere, and basically they have meat sickles. They stocked a bunch of food, meat, and then frozen it and just waited out in the caves, that type of thing. And I would assume they could use caves, something like that. I wouldn't know if they actually, what's the word, hibernate. But some people think that and again, this is just theories I've heard, take it for what it's worth, but that the larger ones will be held up way up in the mountains, and they've run out the little ones, go down to the valleys, and kind of like, the edges of civilization, where it's, at least in Utah, where it's a little bit lower elevation, it's not quite as cold. Often they'll chase deer, I think, down to the lower elevations. Well, actually, deer go on their own. They'll go to lower elevations if the snow gets too bad. The video I posted recently, sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm just thinking of things. The video I posted recently, the Provo sighting, I'm assuming that that was a Sasquatch that was chasing deer, just following them down the mountain. If you look at, well, when we were there, we saw quite a few deer. I mean, there were little herds, and there were tons of sign of deer that had been hustling back and forth. There's deer trails everywhere, game trails in that area. So anyway, we don't really know, but you can speculate. I'm trying to think, there was one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, in the winter, I have heard them up in the mountains. It seems like also areas that are hiked a lot in summer, sometimes will have Sasquatch. This is my own limited experience. I don't know, but I did have an experience up hiking to Lake Blanche, January of, what was it, 2016, late January. Actually, probably about maybe a week from now, a couple of years ago. And it had been an hour after, since it was dark. It had started snowing. It was raining lower elevations, and I didn't have any spikes, and I slipped and really crashed. You have to be very careful in that type of weather, and I finally just slipped. And the second I mumbled aggressively across the creek, I heard a whoop woo, and it was not an owl. The owl sounds more mechanical to me. It was not a coyote. It sounded more like a primate. So anyway, that was winter. That trail, they keep it plowed because there's ski areas up further up the mountain, and people do hike that in the winter. I wouldn't recommend it this year right now because there's extreme avalanche risk almost everywhere in the not Uintas, in the Wasatch, where there's a slopes that are 25 degrees and higher right now. So I'm actually I'm putting a moratorium on my backcountry activities until probably mid-February because of that. Anyway, there's the rambling answer for you. Anybody have any? There's only 3 people watching. Probably one was myself, maybe. But if anybody has any feedback with that, anything they want to interject or argue with me about, I don't care. That's fine. At least we don't have any trolls tonight. That's one positive thing. Where do you think they are? Possibly in winter, Charles, if you're still listening. Let me think. Clearfield. Kind of know where that is. Let me just pull out the map here. I've obviously heard of Clearfield. I just places I haven't been to a lot in Utah. I kind of get a little mixed up of exactly where it's at. Well, my internet's going to be kind of slow because it's running the video. Clearfield. And then you have the interdimensional aspect, which I don't completely rule out, but there's no way to prove it as far as I know. I mean, I've heard tales where people say that the Sasquatch mind spoke with them and told them that they moved on from this world when we started killing them without any reason, and they just visit here now, and they're actually in another world. And you have Magic Dr. Johnson. No, I'm just kidding. There's no magic there. Dr. Johnson, Matthew A. Johnson, who mentions that they just recently all immigrated to this world with his assistance, of course. And I'm not going to say he's a complete liar. It just seems fantastical, of course. But I mean, it's anyway. They're just everybody has a theory. If they were in another dimension, then obviously they could just go somewhere, I would assume, where there's less snow for the winter. But I don't know if their capabilities include that. Well, it looks like it's not going to let me search for Clearfield, Utah while I'm running the video, unfortunately. I'll try this again. Let me close this. I've had the computer running a little while, so it's probably doesn't help it. Nope, there's 5 people. Again, if anybody just came in, there's not that many of you, but if anybody has a question, a comment, suggestions, I mentioned I'm going to try to maybe do a couple interviews with different people that are in my area who do have YouTube pages that they've put out videos, but I don't think anybody that I know of has ever interviewed them. And they're guys who are out there as much as I am or more, and they just aren't on the internet that much, really, in comparison. So I'd really like to hear from them and see if I can convince them to come on and be interviewed by me. I just don't know at this point. I did feel one of them out on it, and they seemed like they were agreeable to it, but then I haven't heard from them after that. So let's see. Looking at Charles's follow-up comment here. Yeah, in winter, people are really disadvantaged. I mean, even with snowshoes, and when it gets, I mean, if you're at the mercy of an avalanche, pretty much, you're toast if you're in the way of that. And yeah, maybe go down to the valleys more in the winter. And again, I just don't know. I kind of rambled on about that about as long as I should probably, but anyway. So here's Clearfield. Fortunately, it's not letting me zoom in or out because it's being sluggish with the video going. Oh, come on. No, it's still showing. That looks like Provo or something, or Orem on the map. Come on, Clearfield. Anyway, I guess it's not going to work very efficiently. Oh, here's Big Red. Let's see. Regarding multidimensionality. Oh yeah, string theory. I've heard of that. I haven't studied it, so you probably know quite a bit more about that than myself. And dimensions, yeah, I mean, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, just a lot of things that direction. We just have no idea, no way to even typically test it out. I wouldn't, you know, even scientists, I don't think would know where to begin to on a lot of that. It's where the Air Force Base look at. Oh, okay. So that's kind of, I see where you are north from Oaks for um, it's all okay, it's not freezing up. No, it looks like we're up to 6 people. Anybody has any like burning questions? If you're the opposite, if you have like want to tell me I'm running my channel and have suggestions and that, then I'm open to listen to anything, but I'll take it seriously. but um, trying to think. Yeah, I think there's more people. I mentioned. I'm sorry, this is about the third or fourth. I'm mentioning it for people who've been here a while. I'm gonna see if I can interview some people in the future. We'll see how that pans out. If I can get them on, probably be fairly interesting. Nobody has any questions like about Rio and all sorts of like when people are messaging me, commenting on my videos, they like want to know all about Rio and all this. Of course, anything I would tell you is a slight opinion and just it's anyway. We won't bring that up again. But any other comments about Sasquatch or? Let me. Where are you located, Big Red? I lose track of where everybody's at. If you can hear. Let me see if I can type that. It's really being sluggish. I hope that's working on his end. this other one down. See if that helps any. Just kind of waiting for the screen to work. Let's see. Well, since it's not letting me type anything, I'm assuming that, I don't know, like it's possible other people are having the same problem. Hmm. Well, the video on my end, it's not freezing up or anything, but the chat is giving me a problem. Let me refresh this. I don't know if it's going to mess everything up or not. Yeah, it probably will. So I guess we'll just close this down for now. And if anybody has any questions, you can either, I guess you could just put in a comment. I can see all the comments, just pick a random video. But probably aren't that many comments, if any at all, or questions. It's not going to let me end the stream, so I'm just going to have to close the browser. Okay, I'm just mainly trying to see how this works and use this first time. And anyway, glad a couple people showed up. I wasn't expecting much more than that, if even anybody showed up at all. Let me see. Yeah, it's still not going to let me type anything. So I guess we'll just wish everybody a good evening. It's been about 30 minutes. I would go for an hour if need be, but this is kind of sluggish. I'll just, I guess. Weird. I mean, any comments, questions, etc., that's fine. You can just send me a message, comments, and videos. A good week, everyone.